I think staying true to our company name, where it's human managed, it's very important to know that though machines are going to be really good if configured properly, the portion where it has to be managed or driven by a human is very important. And this is my personal learning as well over the years in HM, because initially we were thinking, okay, as long as we configure things, we deliver things, it's going to be valuable.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Human Managed channel and our video series where we talk about our latest product called SecOps. I'm Deborah, and today we have David and CJ from our Philippines office in Manila here with us to talk about customer needs, client pain points as it relates to the local Philippine market. So, hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello, good day, Deb.
Good day to you too. So we've had David on the channel before, but we have not had CJ. CJ, you can go first. Quickly, would you like to quickly introduce yourself and your role at Human Managed?
So I'm CJ. Basically, I manage the revenue department or maybe the selling part of the human managed here in the Philippines. And then also I interview some of our client what would be the pain points, what would be the needs, and what is their business direction or goals.
And for David, for those who have not seen your previous episode, would you like to quickly introduce yourself as well?
Hi, my name's David Medallo. I'm the president of Philippines Human Manage. I handle the operation side here, primarily involved in service delivery and customer engagement.
Okay, so thanks for that short introduction. So my first question would be that you guys are both on the front lines with clients, right? So David, you interact with clients, the service side, as well as CJ, you are more on the sales side. So you talk to clients, you try to get them to know our product and get them to engage our services. So what's the most
Mhm.
common security frustration that you hear from Philippine companies right now?
Most of that is alert fatigue, and then how they going to ensure that their cyber defense are updated. Those are the things that I hearing with our client or our potential client. So basically, those are the pain points, including the managing the tools. Like for example, they operate multiple tools like that.
These types of
David, do
problem
you have
usually
anything to add?
come
Yeah.
about from customers that has to handle multiple tools. So we've been in an industry where over the years, new types of security tools or technologies have been going out or being available in the market. So over time, you started with some antivirus protection that became an EDR, then eventually goes into data protection. So a bunch of different tools that is not necessarily directly integrated with each other. So the tendency for security operations team would be they would be simultaneously managing these tools, and then the alerts coming out of that would be separate and in different dashboards. So the challenge that CJ has mentioned, alert fatigue is a very common problem that we see because just by the nature of maybe tens, 20s of tools generating alerts and then having to monitor them individually, and then not necessarily being able to enrich each other yet unless you put someone
Effort.
or people to actually do that enrichment or do that consolidation or single monitoring.
The one that I forgot to mention
Okay.
is basically the skill set to manage those tools. That's one of the key problem of the enterprise here in the Philippines. Skill set is very important for them to use the tool properly to manage it.
So when you say the lack of skill set, would you say in terms of like the people that they have on the team, they are not equipped to know how to manage this, or skill set in
Yes.
another context?
Yes, basically some of the people who is actually managing those are not capable to, maximize the tools on how to use it.
Okay, so for David specifically, you've been with HM for a very long time, and
Yes.
you've talked about how there's always this gap between when you initially talk to a client, what they think they need to enhance their operations versus what would actually help them. So
Mm.
in the context of security operations, what would you say is the gap between what they think they need and what they actually would benefit from?
I'd say most of the time they would think that they would have to be an expert in their tools to be able to maximize the features or the capabilities of individual tools. But when you try to understand the realities of their operations, most of their challenges are actually enriching the importance of those alerts generated by their tools in relation to their business. So ultimately, they're monitoring not just security alerts that are uh, that are maybe complex or sophisticated, but they're monitoring what it really means for their business. So if an alert is something that is severe or critical, but then again it affects a business asset that is not very important, then it's less of a priority. So integrating or enriching those issues with the business context that they have is one of the main I think one of the main things that not a lot of security operations realize at the start. Eventually, the more mature ones would realize, okay, we need to make sure that we understand this from a business perspective or how it affects the business.
I guess yeah, when you have standard like software, it comes with like preconceived like sets of criteria. Would that be correct to
Mm,
say? And so for CJ, from a sales perspective, I guess David shared that there's this issue that they don't recognize they need to tailor their alerts to the context of their specific business. So how do you actually get to the root of what the client needs? Because I think a common theme that I'm seeing here from our discussion thus far is that there's alert fatigue, there is lack of integration from the tools. But sometimes the companies may not see that themselves. So what methods do you use to
Well, first, as I mentioned first is that we need to understand what is the client background. Basically, what are their business,
okay.
what would be their goal, what would be their business objective, and we look on the angle where we can help them in terms of what is happening in the industry, what would be the standard, what would be the best practices. So basically, those are the things that we need to understand for us to deliver a solution that will works. No, not only we are trying to get some revenue with them, but we are trying to give them the power to meet their business objectives or goals.
I think staying true to our company name, where it's human managed, it's very important to know that though machines are going to be really good if configured properly, the portion where it has to be managed or driven by a human is very important. And this is my personal learning as well over the years in HM, because initially we were thinking, okay, as long as we configure things, we deliver things, it's going to be valuable. But in reality, the way that we have picked up and really dramatically increased the value that we deliver is when you integrate the feedback that you hear directly from customers and really embed that into the service that you deliver. Because uh, ultimately, value is really dependent on who's taking it or who's consuming it. So if we are able to understand, okay, these at least from their standpoint is what's important, and then you add your expertise and you add your capabilities, that increases the value that's going to be received by that stakeholder. So with that in mind, what we have done with all our customers is that to make sure that we have constant touch points with them. So in the cadences and the touch points that we've established with them, we make sure that we hear and get feedback with the things that we are delivering. Because even if the feedback is bad, that's a learning point for us to be able to improve the service.
Just to use the example of like alert fatigue, right? Getting so many alerts and then they're not tailored to your business context. Since you mentioned that, I'll just use this as a like a case example. How would you can you walk us through how SecOps would address this problem?
So basically, we have the skill sets, we have the knowledge on how to prioritize those kind of alerts, on how to process it. We have a model in our platform that we can actually digest those kinds of alert, what would needs to be done, whatever that we need to do in action. Then give more context with the customer.
Maybe I'll give an example, specific one. Uh, Say one example or one use case that we run for our customer includes file transfer, monitoring of a file transfer. Uploading something to the cloud or to a uh, online drive is normal. Is something that we experience every day. But then when you look at the telemetry or the logs that we get, you will be able to see, okay, this particular user uploaded a file to a non-organization owned online drive. Then that already flags
Right.
or additional point of concern because it's not controlled by the environment or by the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, when you enrich or try to identify who that user is, you would find out, okay, this particular user has these types of permission, has access to confidential data, and he just left and resigned a week ago. So that type of information, when you get that context inputted into the SecOps enrichment, then you know, okay, this is something that we should need at least be alerted on or investigate further. So that type of enrichment or data points that you want to put into an investigation, usually that's something that you would do manually.
Right.
But because we're able to translate these types of data points into actual data and code, that would be flagged in microseconds. So that amount of process enriched and converted into a SecOps alert already gives a lot of intel and uh, decision points for a customer to act upon.
Okay, so I think that's very informative about like giving a specific use case and how SecOps has this like huge advantage in operations such that you capture it earlier and you can act on it faster, right? Rather than
Correct.
relying on manual work to figure that out. So the service itself is amazing, right? But how do you but it hasn't been used yet because it is new. So how would you um so there's two parts to this actually. Firstly, how do you convince clients that this is something that they need, given that nobody has ever used it before and there is no like track record per se, right? And then my second part to that is you know, a lot of companies already have a lot of tools, a lot of softwares, a lot of whatevers to help them with their cybersecurity. Um, how do you ensure that SecOps is easily integratable to their existing stack?
Firstly, first we need to understand the client needs. No, basically, like I mentioned, what would be the pain point if they don't have the skill set? Our SecOps can help them to automate those kind of things. Because number one, you need to have an information or intelligence for you to run those tools, and of course, the skill set that you have, current skill set. Well, people will might ask, "Are you going to replace my job?" No. Basically, those people can be reallocate doing some things like do threat hunting instead of them checking the tools 24/7. They can also do some uh, different projects, like for example how they going to automate some of the few stuff within the organization. So basically it will work hand in hand with the human, with the people. And organization. Those are the things that very important that we need to, discuss with the customer, that this is not just a tool, but this is things could be give you more context,
Mhm.
operational efficiency, and then empowering you when it comes to making decision or business decision.
Yeah, I guess from coming up from CJ's point, ultimately you don't really have to convince them to do something new because these are processes that they actually do already. But what you're saying is we're gonna make it easier for you to do what you're already doing, and we're enabling them to be more efficient, to be uh, able to cover wider. So ultimately we're not replacing their jobs, or we're not intending to replace what they're doing, but try to improve and augment how they can do. In the same way AI is helping, the common people, the common users, to be able to generate a lot of content, or uh, check the quality of the work. That's also the same intent that we have in delivering the SecOps service, where your traditional SecOps process will be augmented by faster and more efficient ways of doing the operations.
And also, just wanted to add, no, our SecOp is more on human centered solution or services. That's very important that our client knows that they are the center of this services. No, basically by empowering them, by giving them more context. Those are the things that can help them to make a decision.
Okay. So what does this mean? What do all these advantages mean for Philippine businesses specifically? Because I mean, you guys are from the Philippines. You know, you work with Philippine clients. Um, are there any unique challenges in the Philippine market that you think might be different from other markets? And if so, how does SecOps address these unique difficulties?
So here in the Philippines, we reached the stage of talent drain. No, basically that's the problem right now. We cannot hire, even in HR, we cannot hire immediately a replacement for a technical guy because most of them went to abroad, went to Singapore as well. I see a lot of customers struggle to hire people just to just to use this tool, implement this project, then address this issue. That those are the things that I'm seeing in the market for my short period of time in this industry.
Chart.
Because a lot of things I see in the customer side, meeting government official, meeting private sector, they have same feedback that we are reaching this point that we don't know what to do anymore because we just need to buy the tool to address it. But knowing revenue versus the investment, they don't know they don't know if the investment is worth it or not.
David, do you have anything to add to that based on your experience with Philippine clients?
Short period of time.
uh, for a lot of Filipinos who are really, you know, technically strong and who has the opportunities to go abroad, CJ is correct. I mean, we would see a lot of Filipinos going abroad to be able to seek job opportunities outside the Philippines. And that has an effect in the industry where uh, a company locally would probably need three skilled cybersecurity to take the 24 by 7 shift. But because the skilled cybersecurity uh, resources would go abroad, then you don't have a lot of talent pool available locally. So they would be forced to, okay, we'll take the day shift and outsource the rest to other service providers. So that's a reality that's happening. As CJ mentioned, even in HM, our resources come from different parts of the world. We have security analysts coming from Cambodia, coming from India, and the Philippines. So it's a truly a global talent pool already that has that's needed to be able to address the cybersecurity needs, and extending that to our customers locally is one way of being able to provide value, given that there is a real scarcity of skills available locally.
Okay, so I guess that kind of like answers all my questions that I had today, which was mainly about client pain points, how SecOps can deliver a unique service that really fills in a gap. Like quite literally, you're talking about lack of resources in the Philippine market, and SecOps quite literally like plugs that leakage, right? In a way of
Yeah.
that, not only are we providing the service that automates some of these tasks and takes it off the hands of their internal team, but we're also providing the knowledge and the talent from global global markets, right? Because we have offices everywhere. So I think that's actually a very, very interesting point. I think this gives our audience and as well as any like clients a good insight into how SecOps can really benefit their business. Despite the fact that it's new and it hasn't, I think as of the time this is posted, it will have been launched. So yeah, thanks so much. Hope to see you again.
Okay.
And to our audiences who watched all the way to here, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, share, and
Okay.
subscribe to our channel because we post every week and we also post a lot of like fun stuff. So yeah,
Yep.
bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.